Okay. So our topic for today is product launch techniques. So yesterday we did talk about our product launch plan, and then we also talked about our go-to-market strategy. And today our topic is product launch techniques. And just a reminder, this is our seventh week together, and what else? This is our seventh week together, and this is our in total our 14th session, but our second session for the seventh week. So the table of contents, we'll be discussing developing pricing strategies, collaborating with stakeholders for launch, how to gather feedback from marketing efforts after launch. Um, so let's go right into it. Sorry, before I get into this, more people have been able to receive their feedback on their assignment submission, and we just have a few more people that are yet to receive theirs. And I assure you, I'll be keeping to my word with before close of business on Monday, everybody would have received their grades and their feedbacks. And if you have any question pertaining to your assignment, your submission, and the response to your submission, just respond back, like give a response to the same assignment, and you get a response. You don't have to text me on Telegram or text Joshua on Telegram. Okay, so developing pricing strategies. For a product manager, pricing is not just about the number, it is vital to achieving product market fit. A product manager focuses on the value proposition, which is the benefits of which is the benefits a product delivers to users and their willingness to pay for it. Okay, pricing strategy comes up because for every product you develop or you see through its development phases, you there is a financial aspect to it. You're supposed to be able to analyze its market position, and then also its the marketing or the market landscape to help you make a better decision with your pricing. So if you know what your competition is charging for each service that your product offers, right, then you're able to know what is it that what is it that is applicable to this market, and what is it that I can charge for my product. So, with proper research, you'll be able to understand your position in the market and the pricing that best fits your position in the market, right? You're also able to tell what is the best way to get a good return on investment with, like, what is the best pricing that I could put out there that gives me a good return on my investment, right? And sometimes it also helps you understand how much you want to spend on resources to make the products come alive, because if you do a good pricing, then there's an extent that we can spend on the products, which means that part of the income that you have will be going to the expenses you're making, if you understand how finances work. So it also helps you determine, like, are we overspending on this project? Is this ever going to be made back? Are we ever going to make this back from the pricing that we would be able to charge for this product? Anyways, moving on. Um, it says here that a product manager focuses on the value. It says a product manager focuses on the value proposition, which is the benefits a product delivers to the users and their willingness to pay for it. Okay. A pricing strategy is the roadmap for setting price for a product. It is the carefully crafted approach that considers factors to achieve that considers multiple factors to achieve key business goals. The aim you should have in mind when choosing a pricing strategy is to maximize sales and profits, outperform competitors, and best serve your customers. Remember when we talked about competitive strategy? Competitive advantage. So part of what you should be considering in choosing your pricing strategy is the best way to maximize your sales, the best way to capture the attention of your target audience and maximize your sales. And of course, if you do maximize sales, you're able to maximize your profit. It goes hand in hand. And then, most importantly, you need to outperform your competition. You need to have an edge. You need to have an edge above your competitors, and be the star of the market, right? Shine above everybody else, because if you stand out, then you have something special to offer and people are interested. But if you end up offering the exact same thing that everybody's offering, then there is nothing special about you, and there's nothing special about your product. So why am I paying? Like, since there's something that exists already that looks like the same thing you're offering, why am I coming to you and not the rest of the others? So there's always a need to find a competitive advantage to that you can load up as your weapon of targeting the right audience and getting the right audience for your product. Um, Proper pricing allows your product to stay competitive, profitable, and sustainably grow over time in a business environment. Okay, so you do know there is such a thing as overpricing or underpricing. Your goal, why you are trying to fit into the market, your goal is not to create a situation where, or to create a pricing where you don't benefit from it, right? And you've created this pricing because you want to penetrate, because there's such a thing as market penetration in marketing. And if you're still trying to penetrate a market, and your strategy is to knock down your price and take a little bit of what do you call that? Just a little bit of not making profit or making loss. You just stay on the fence. There's a term for it. There's a marketing term for that. If that becomes your strategy, you need to ensure that it is actually sustainable for you, and you can deal with not making profits for a short period of time until you've penetrated the market. Then you can set up a competitive market price. And the reason is that if you continue to toe that line of let's not focus on profit so we can penetrate the market, and you lose sight of your purpose, what would happen is that you become you be considered the least quality, the product with the least quality, basically. Because why are you so cheap, right? Why are you so inexpensive in comparison to your competitors? So it means there is something that there's a reason you don't want to charge the same amount as the others, even after you've been in the market for a while. So then people would always expect you to be cheaper, like, no, regardless of the situation. And when you then finally to bring up your price to the normal pricing, then it will be considered that you are overpricing. Meanwhile, you're finally doing what the rest of your competition are doing in the market. So towing the line of reducing your price to penetrate the market is something you have to do very carefully, and study the market to see if this is even a strategy that would work. So with that said, proper pricing is a very important concept to think about when trying to decide on your pricing strategy. How do you properly select a pricing that allows you to be in competition while also making profit and not overpricing, right? You're not overpricing, you're still making your profit, you're still making good income, and you're still able to afford to be in business. Those things are very important when choosing a pricing strategy. So it says here, proper pricing allows your product to stay competitive, profitable, and sustainably grow over time in a business environment. Using the lens of maximizing sales and profits, staying competitive, and customer satisfaction, let's examine pricing. Okay. So with a focus on maximizing sales and profits and staying competitive, and as well as customer satisfaction, let's look at pricing. Factors to consider when developing pricing strategies. Number one is sales and profit maximization, like we talked about a little bit earlier. It's an ideal pricing strategy strikes a balance between affordability for customers and profitability for the business. It should allow you to acquire new customers at a reasonable cost, customer acquisition cost, while ensuring they bring in enough revenue over time, customer lifetime value, to justify your pricing. So, as a pricing strategy, you need to strike a balance between customers being able to afford your product or your services, but at the same time ensuring that that balance is struck with your business being profitable at the same time, because of course you're not running an NGO, you're not running a free business. You're making expenses to be able to acquire your customers, and you're also needing to consider what the lifetime value of each customer is to you, right? So it's very important that these factors are considered, because at the end of the day, everything you are doing with pricing, one of your most important goals is that you are maximizing profit and you're also maximizing sales. So this being able to strike this balance would help you do that. Competitive analysis, like we talked about as well, understanding competitor pricing is crucial. You can leverage this knowledge to position your product competitively. This could involve setting a lower price to attract customers who are sensitive to cost, or setting a premium price to highlight the unique value proposition of your offering. So, what we're talking about here is, remember, part of our market research was competitive analysis, right? Where we are trying to find the similarities and the dissimilarities with our competition, or yeah, with our competition and their product offering, right? You're trying to find out what is it that they are doing and how it differs from what you are doing, or how it is similar to what you are doing or offering. And at the same time, you're also trying to understand their pricing. Like if you say your competition is on subscription basis, how are they offering these subscriptions? And you want to analyze all of your competitions and like their pricing, like the pricing that they've put out there, and you want to understand how you can position yourself in such a way that you fit into the same pricing, like the pricing within the market, right? The pricing amongst your competitions. You don't want to be so far off, right, from your competition, or even so far off like in the sense of overpricing, or so far off in the sense of underpricing. So it's about striking a balance so it's still within the competition and not overextending yourself, trying to beat the price lower, or just underperforming in such a way that your pricing is so high for the same quality of goods that everybody else is providing. The third one is user satisfaction. The third one is user satisfaction. Price is a key factor in a user's decision-making process. Your pricing strategy should reflect the value your product delivers. Extensive market research and understanding your target audience's willingness to pay are essential to ensure your pricing aligns with the perceived value. So basically what we are saying is that it's very important that your pricing is directly linked to the value of your product. Because remember how I talked about trying to underprice so that you can penetrate the market. That's a very risky strategy, because something that could happen with that situation is that you place yourself in a place, in a situation or a position in the market where everybody assumes that you have a lower price because your product is less efficient, especially when we're talking about digital products. You put yourself in a position where the assumption becomes that your product is very low performing, less effective, and all of that. So, and that is why you are offering a less price. And you have to be very careful with your target audiences behavior or responses towards pricing. That is a very big factor to consider, because before you kick yourself on the foot. Common pricing strategies. The first one is cost plus pricing. This is a pricing strategy where a product's price. This is a pricing strategy where a product's price hinges on its production cost. One second, please. This is a pricing strategy where a product's price hinges on its production cost. Businesses calculate the total. I think this is the most common pricing strategy out there. Businesses calculate the total cost of to manufacture, distribute, and sell the product, including raw materials, the labor, and overhead, um, and then add a markup percentage to achieve their desired profit margin. This approach prioritizes internal expenses rather than external market forces. Cost plus pricing centers on covering internal costs and generating profits based solely on production expenses, while it offers predictable margins. It may neglect factors like customer willingness to pay and market demand, potentially leading to missed opportunities or pricing that's out of sync with the market. For example, Oracle pricing model is influenced by the costs incurred in developing, maintaining, and enhancing a sophisticated software offering. So, I think this is like the most common pricing strategy, the cost plus. The what happens is that there is a collation of all expenses or all expenses or costs involved in producing the product offering, right, or the services being offered. You calculate all of that. What does it cost to, if say if say we are talking about, let me do something as simple as production of say soy milk, and we are thinking about how much was spent to produce it, the entirety of it, the labor involved, the raw materials from acquiring the soybeans from the north, how much it costs to send it all the way down to say the southwest or the east, like the southeast or whatever, the south. The point is, when you do all of those calculations of how much it costs to transport those things or to even go there and bring them down, and what else, the labor it took to be able to finalize decisions on bringing it down all the way down from the north, and then how much it costs to settle people on the road and things like all of those overhead costs will be calculated together with the labor and the raw material itself, the soybeans itself. And then you make a decision on this is how much that it costs us. Like finally, this is how much it totally costs us to be able to create this product. Now we have an understanding of that. What is the markup for our profit margin? Like what are we marking it up from to get our profit margin? What do we want to add to it to be our profit? Basically is what that is. So whatever you add to it, it becomes your profit margin, and then with that you know that this is how much it costs us, and then you also schedule it or break it down to per bottle, right? And then you do per bottle of the soy milk, this is how much it costs us to produce one bottle, and this is how much we make from selling one bottle, right? That becomes your profit. But then your total income is everything that someone pays for a bottle, right? But within your team and you know that this is what your expense is, or this is what your expense or cost for the production is, and this is what your profit is from making this or from having sold one bottle. That's like this is the regular costing or pricing method or strategy out there. But the problem with it is that it doesn't necessarily consider the market in itself. All it does is that the focus is so much on what it costs to produce the product offering, right? Like just whatever it costs. We are focusing so much on how did we get here, how were we able to successfully produce this, but there is no consideration for customer behavior, for user behavior, and market response to your product. So that can present its own risks, but for the most part, especially for physical products, this particular pricing method or strategy has worked for a long time. So it's very understandable why people go for it, but it doesn't cover all kinds of products or services. There are lots of services and products that you need to understand your user behavior and then the market response to like products within the industry already and potentially your own product before you make these decisions. The second one is value-based pricing. It flips the script on traditional cost-centric method. Here, the price hinges on the perceived value a product or service delivers to customer. Businesses delve into customer needs and their willingness to pay for the benefits and unique features offered rather than focusing solely on production costs or competitor pricing. This strategy demands a deep understanding of customer needs. So the value based pricing is more focused on the value that you could potentially or you intend to provide to your users or your customer. There is there is there is more focus on the value, which now leads to a focus on customer needs and customer behavior. You don't just wake up and just focus on the cost. What did we spend on this product? We need to make it back and add profit to it. It doesn't just end there. There is a need to understand your target audience. If you have an understanding of them, then you could understand what value your product brings to them. So while understanding the market in itself is important and your competition is important, it's also very important to understand what the reaction or the response of your users could potentially be to the product that you are introducing to the market. Imagine a productivity app with advanced features like time management, task automation, and team collaboration. For a busy individual, this app might be a game changer, justifying a premium price compared to a basic to-do list app. Effective communication of the value proposition is key. The product marketing, capturing the value created for the customer, is paramount. So, a successful value based pricing strategy translates the product benefits into a price that customers perceive as fair and aligns with the problem it solves. So, I feel like a value based pricing is quite interesting and kind of mirrors what most startups or the digital most companies would need in the digital space, because for most digital products you sell based on value, right? You sell based on customer behavior. You sell for every app that is out there. It is very paramount to your success in the market that you understand your target audience's behavior or responses to the market and the things that are in the within the market already, because um having an understanding of that helps you know the best way you can market your offerings, right? If I understand the things that our target audiences respond to, then I can understand the best way to package and market our offerings to them, so that it doesn't feel like there is no one size fit all when it comes to marketing for most digital products. That's what I've come to understand, which is why for a lot of digital products you see things like subscription based charges, right? Instead of just one time payments and like same payments for everybody. It's usually like subscription based, and there are even software products that you you can pay based on how you use it, right? Like you don't just give one time payment. There is sequential payments for how you use the product, the frequency with which you apply the product to your daily life. So that's like, I feel like a value based pricing strategy is more suited with things like digital products or software products. Penetrating pricing. This is a strategy to rapidly capture a large chunk of the market. Product is launched at a lower price than its perceived value, aiming to attract critical mass of customers quickly and establish brand dominance. So the goal of this is that you already have existing products in the market, and of course they all have an established price with which they operate. So when you come into the market and your goal is to penetrate the market, it's like a forceful penetration into the market. Your goal is that you get noticed. Your goal is that you beat down the price of everybody and you drag or you grab the attention of the entire target audience, right? And if I'm offering the same quality as everybody and I'm offering it at a lower price, right? You definitely, as a user, would want to check me out. Like, it does it mean that you will continue using me forever? No, but in the time that my price would be lower than everybody's own, and like that of all of my competitors, and I'm still offering the same quality of products or services, you would definitely want to find out like some like what is up with this new product. Why is it so much less expensive? And I've heard it's the same quality. And that's the goal. That's the entire goal, to dominate the entire market with your lower price. That's the entire goal. It says here, this approach is ideal for fiercely competitive markets where a speedy entry is vital. The lower price acts as a hook, driving widespread adoption and building brand awareness. Ideally, this initial wave of customers translates into long-term loyalty. However, the challenge lies in long-term profitability. Since the initial price is lower than ideal, maintaining healthy profit margins can be difficult. It's usually difficult. It's not just that it can be difficult. So while this feels like a get rich quick kind of strategy where you're able to within a short time grab the attention of a lot of users or a lot of your target audience. But the question is, can you maintain their attention? Can you sustain their attention and their focus on you? Because sustaining that price over a long period of time or a stretched period of time would prove difficult as time goes on, because things change in the market as well, right? And then just being able within that same price that you're already giving lower than it is, you want to be able to make sure that you're maintaining a profit, because you need to be able to pay your workers, you need to be able to pay for raw materials and all those things. So how sustainable is your penetration pricing strategy is the question. So it's usually easy to grab attention, but what usually would happen in these situations is that as time goes on, the companies that are using this pricing strategy tend to change and end up going back to the normal pricing, and then the chances that you would lose everybody that you grabbed with this strategy is very high. But sometimes if your quality is really good and like you've created a level of loyalty with your target audience, then what happens is that you don't lose them. They stay with you even though you've changed over and like started pricing, like change your pricing to the normal pricing for the market. So careful planning for an eventual price increase is crucial to ensure sustainability, like I just mentioned. Example, Adobe initially produced Creative Cloud with a subscription-based model at a relatively lower price point. But as the users increase, Adobe would adjust subscription prices or introduce premium features, leveraging the initial penetration pricing to establish itself as a dominant player in the creative software market. And then by the time that they ended up changing their pricing, they already had very loyal users or customers, and most of them didn't just walk away because the pricing returned to normal. This is skimming pricing. This strategy prioritizing early adopters by setting a high initial price for a product. The strategy targets customers willing to pay a premium for innovation or exclusivity. Is particularly effective for products boasting unique features or cutting-edge technology. Skimming pricing capitalizes on the willingness of specific customer segments to pay top dollar for the latest and greatest. So this would be something that is very common with luxury goods, right? Luxury goods, like we could be talking about piano, piano itself, the full-on piano with all of the setup. Usually when people produce or make pianos, they um, some of them could even have it signed with by some of the greatest artists out there, and sell it at like have them lined up and selling them at the highest pricing. And this might be a very new brand of piano, like of piano sellers, and you would expect that they would want to like lower their price or stay on the market price. but these are luxury goods, and there are particular kind of people that use these goods. And if you have an attraction in quote for them, and you have the latest thing for them, then they are most likely willing to pay top money, top dollar, top naira, top euro for said product or service or like product offering. And the question is, how sustainable is this? Um, it depends on the market segment that you are targeting for each skimming pricing strategy that you use. It says here that this approach allows companies to recoup development costs quickly and maximize profits before competitors enter the market. However, it requires careful price adjustments to avoid alienating early adopters and ensure a smooth transition to a wider market. An example would be Apple revolutionary iPhone in the 1900s. So number five is the freemium model. This casts a wide net by offering a basic version of a product for free. The strategy aims to attract a large user base and get them hooked on the core functionalities. Companies then incentivize users to upgrade to a premium paid version that unlocks additional features or advanced functionality. This approach is popular in software and digital services, as we all know. For example, Spotify, even YouTube Music does that. I think AudioMac does that. Like for most of our digital services that we have out there, we use the freemium model, and we use that and the value-based pricing method. I strongly believe. And the freemium usually allows people to get to know your product. Is like the first time you're introducing your product, you want people to have a free access to it, but not for them to have access to every single feature of your digital product. You want them to encounter your product and be able to just use it on a very basic level and have like get excited about your product and then go for the next best level for your product to have access to other important or even more exciting features. The freemium model thrives on the idea of users experiencing the product's value before committing to a paid subscription. This low barrier to entry fosters a large user base. Yes. Okay. All through metrics to factor. These are the metrics to consider while creating or deciding on your pricing strategy. All through the process of developing the price point of your product, your mind should evolve around or revolve around two key metrics, which was mentioned initially, the CAC and the CLTV, the customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost to attract or to attract or to get the attention of new customers? Pricing too low might lead to unsustainable margins, making it difficult to acquire new users. And then the customer lifetime value, the total revenue a customer generates over their relationship with the product. So this is basically over the time that the customer will be your loyal user or the loyal user to your brand or to your product. What do you generate from that relationship, from that loyalty? Pricing too high might scare away potential customers, thereby limiting CLTV. Right. In some companies, the product managers may not be in charge of pricing decisions. Top management may have the upper hand in determining price, but as a product manager, you ought to be well acquainted with pricing strategies. Should in case you find yourself in a workplace with that saddles you with such responsibility. Pricing is an integral component of comprehensive product strategy, playing a pivotal role in shaping the overall success and market positioning of a product. So, while the pricing strategy or coming up with a pricing strategy is not necessarily something that for established firms you find the product managers handling. It's usually the topmost management level that would handle these conversations. There are also times that you will experience startups that would need you to function in this role or handle this responsibility. So you'll be saddled with sitting down to make these decisions, and your understanding of these strategies and the metrics to factor in to making these decisions will be very beneficial to you as a product manager. Collaborating with stakeholders for launch. The things that you need to have in mind is to build trust. The foundation for success in collaborating for launch is based on trust and integrity. Pay close attention to stakeholder concerns and perspectives. Maintain regular communication to keep everyone informed. Remember, pricing is a part of our launching strategy, right? Discussing the pricing, our pricing strategy is like integrated in everything we do to ensure that our product is ready for launch. So, part of what we are discussing now, like, is how to collaborate with stakeholders to also prepare yourself or your product for launch. So it says here to build trust, and then to continue what I was reading, maintain regular communication to keep everyone informed, set achieved goals and timelines to manage expectations, communicate clearly and openly share information, be dependable, anticipate stakeholder needs, align your actions with your words to build credibility. It's very important that your communication skills are so honed for these situations, because you need to be able to set clear understanding of where you're headed with your product, and what needs to be done pre-launch, and what needs to be achieved during launch, right? And it's very important that you have a very trustworthy relationship or communication with your stakeholders, so that your collaboration with them doesn't become so tasking and so difficult to achieve. One second, please. Okay, so we are back. The second thing to consider or effectively do is to understand the hierarchy. Establish a clear decision making hierarchy to avoid roadblocks. Identify the final decision maker dependent on the issue. Ensure all stakeholders understand the decision making process. So, for you as a product manager, it's very important that you understand who holds the key to decisions, especially you have to categorize the type of decision making that we are talking about. There are certain decisions that it changes from decision to decision, the category of decision that needs to be made, and your understanding of the hierarchy will be very effective for you when it comes to knowing whom to run to for assistance or advice or clarification on certain things, right? If you are it's like you need to communicate with the engineering team. Of course, you know the head of engineering is important, but you also need to understand who comes after the head of engineering, who would take charge if the head of engineering wasn't around, who would you have to communicate with. If, say, the head of engineering is on leave, and you need the assistance of the entire engineering team, whom do you send an email to or reach out to via Slack or whatever it is you need to do? Just understanding who makes what decisions and how they reach their decision and all that. It helps you manage your relationships better and just collaborate better. Early and frequent engagement. Get get stakeholders involved early in the product development process. Facilitate collaborative sessions to gather diverse perspectives. Schedule regular meetings to provide updates and address stakeholder questions. Use visuals to effectively convey information during meetings. So it's very important that from the beginning, or at least early enough, maybe not from the very beginning, because you might not essentially need the help of the stakeholders during your brainstorming stage, but you want to get your stakeholders involved from the early stages, because it's very important that they understand how you arrived at certain decisions and why you're making certain decisions, right? You carry them along. This helps them feel like a part of the decision making process, and why they are not necessarily making any decision for you, you are engaging them and getting their advice, their perspective on things that you are doing, and so that when you need their help, they would feel like they're already a part of this process, and it's easy for them to engage with you and offer their help. The next thing is communication is key, of course. Effectively listen to and communicate with stakeholders. Tailor your message to address stakeholder concerns and motivations. Highlight the value of your product brings to each stakeholder group. Be transparent in your communication and share product progress openly. Use data. Strengthen your arguments with data from market research. Some of the questions that I have encountered during certain interviews is, how do you handle arguments and creative differences? How I handle arguments and creative differences is data, facts, and also being that most people that you would get into arguments with are people that you've worked with for a little time, like at least you know enough about the best way to communicate with them or to reach them if you're observant. So what I do is that if I understand how best you communicate, um most likely you wouldn't like to go over things with me with everybody on the call. So if I'm trying to convince you about something, I might not do that convincing or attempt to convince you with an audience. What I would attempt to do is to have a conversation with you, with just you and I on the call, or you, I, and whomever else could influence your decision, so that I can present you with data in a way that you can understand it. I'll present you with data that in a language that you speak. And that helps someone feel like they have a personal relationship with you and you took out the time to respectfully approach them. It usually helps you with your argument that you have data and analytics and research results with you. You also need to be familiar with data and the analytics of it, how to analyze data and use it in your own decision making, because that's the only way you can use data to influence the decision of other people. And also remember that when it comes to being a product manager, you need to lead with influence. If that is the case, then data is your best friend for the most part of it. Adaptability, be prepared to adapt to changing market trends, technologies, budgets, and the rest. Find creative solutions to navigate challenges and unexpected circumstances. Holding stakeholders accountable. Professional conduct. Expect professionalism from all stakeholders, addressing any shortcomings. So sometimes with how much you have to communicate with certain stakeholders, it's very important that you ensure that there is a level of professionalism that is maintained in your communication with stakeholders. You want to have a professionally familiar relationship with them, but you don't want certain lines and boundaries crossed where the professional, the common professional respect is lost, and our professional boundaries start to get crossed. You don't want that situation. You want to be someone that through your influence better decisions are made. Through your influence people get the job done. And if you lose the respect, or if you're unable to uphold boundaries and professionalism, then that becomes really difficult for you to do. So I'm gathering feedback from marketing efforts after lunch. So we've discussed the things that you need to do or achieve pre-launch, and this is something that you would have to do post-launch in order to fix your product or improve. This is where product improvement comes in, to improve on your product and its features. As a product manager, your job doesn't end after launch. Marketing efforts are vital to obtaining customer insights, which is crucial to leverage them to iterate and improve your product. Remember when we talked about iteration? You iterate by gathering feedback and working on your product based on the feedback that you've gathered. It could be on the design, it could be on the functionality, it could be on the performance of your product. Number one is to define your goals. What aspects of marketing do you want feedback on? Do you want feedback on how the messaging works, or how the ads, the targeting of the ads, or the campaign effectiveness? What do you want information on? So when you're creating the feedback loop, these are things to consider. What aspects of our product or the marketing do I want feedback on? Are you looking for user acquisition data or user engagement metrics? Then you have to choose your channels. Your goal would help you decide what channels you want to look at to gather this information, or these responses, or study of behavior. Website analytics tools like Google Analytics provides insights into user behavior, like I just mentioned, the landing page or the website. And then you also want to, if you're looking at the behavior of your customers, right, or your users, you also want to consider what the conversion rate is. You just want to track the general metrics that are involved or that show up about your product in the market. User surveys and polls. This is already a popular, or the most popular way to gather feedback from your customers. Customer support ticket, like I talked about, there's an entire structuring that goes into customer support tickets, like creating a customer feedback loop through the customer CS tickets. And it says here to analyze support tickets to identify recurring issues or confusions users face after interacting with your marketing materials. Social media listening, monitor brand mentions and discussions on social media. This is something you get to do through your digital marketers, or sorry, through your what do you call them? your digital personals. There's a name for them. I can't really remember that. But these are the people that handle your social media managers. Yes, these are the people that handle your social media pages. You can give instructions on how to use analytics tools for each of your social media pages to provide you with feedback on the mentions that you've had of your product online. It helps you find out what the pain points. This is where pain point is applicable because you're talking about people that have been using your product and their response to your product, right? So you want to use social media mentions that you've had over a period of time to understand the pain points of your users. There is the direct outreach, conduct user interviews or focus groups. I don't know if if you're active in any way on social media, you would see sometimes that there are events, things like social media events where fintechs, health techs conduct interviews directly with your users, and that's a very great way to gather user feedback. You want to analyze and prioritize, organize the data. Once you have feedback from various channels, categorize them by theme, and decide if this is a pricing concern or a feature concern or performance concern, and make a decision with that. Identify trends, look for patterns or recurring issues across different feedback sources. Prioritize, choose which one has the most effect or the most expensive maybe effect on your product or your user base. Collaborate and act, share these insights with the other stakeholders and decide on what you want to act on first and what goes first. And then with that priority list, you're able to start to fix the concerns step at a time, and possibly iterating through the feedbacks that you've received and prioritized. Then finally, always remember this: be open-minded. Not all feedback will be positive. Embrace constructive criticisms to identify areas for improvement. If you don't have the thick back or the thick skin for criticisms, you probably shouldn't bother with product management because your stakeholders will have the most insane concerns. Comes from a genuine place, comes from a place of attempting to be helpful, but you need to be able to filter um, feedbacks that you receive and also understand constructive criticisms versus attacks. Most things that you receive professionally won't even be actual attacks. They'll just be people thinking that they are helping you by giving you constructive criticisms. And you have to filter it out and ensure that it stays respectful. Someone trying to help you doesn't equate to them being able to disrespect you. So you keep it respectful and professional and ensure that you filter by yourself what serves you and serves your purpose as a product manager on a particular product. Focus on actionable insights. Don't just collect data. Translate it into actionable steps for marketing and product teams. Make it a continuous product process. Feedback gathering is an ongoing process. That's why we talk about looping it, because it's not just a one-time thing. You want to be able to do things like have surveys attached to your pop-up screen on your app from time to time so that you can collect surveys. And not just reviews. Reviews are too quick. Like just actual surveys of certain features, especially if it's like a new feature and you're trying to understand customer responses or user responses to that particular feature. You want to create a loop for that. And then product launch conclusion. Product launch is the final phase of the problem ideation loop discussed in week 2. The launch marks the culmination of all efforts of the product team, and while it is worth celebration, it is also the point where the first phase of the problem ideation loop is kickstarted, which is talking to users to gather feedback. Speaking to users and monitoring analytics and finding metrics will help the product manager ensure that they have a successful product that closely solves users' pain points while ensuring business goals are met. So essentially, once you've conquered product launch, once you've been able to do everything you need to do in your product launch plan and checklist, the next thing is how do I maintain a loop of collecting feedback and iterating on my product and hence improving my product. That becomes your next concern. So product management comes in its phases, and just being able to launch doesn't end your function or your role as a product manager. Yes, it's a big leap, like it's a big leap to have launched, but then what happens after the launch? This is where you now start creating your feedback loops, where you want to be able to gather analytics and data and metrics from different sources, as well as feedback from your users, so that you can improve on your product. Because once your product is in the market, it will constantly need to stay within competition and offer the best services or features in the market. That's the thing with post launch. Post launch, what you have to do is maintenance and upgrading or improving, which is why most digital apps, what you get is updates. Like you start getting newer versions, updated versions. Those updates are that certain features, certain core features have been updated or fixed or improved on, basically. So after that, it is relaunched in a sense, and there is a new version for users in the market. With that, we have come to the end of this class. I am going to go over what we discussed. We talked about developing product strategies, and we talked about the factors to consider when developing your pricing strategies, just to make sure you're creating a balance between your sales and profit maximization and your competition and your profits, like being able to maintain a profit while ensuring that you're within the market range, the market range. And we talked about considering your sales and profits maximization, your ability to compete successfully with your pricing, and being able to offer good user satisfaction while in that space. And then we talked about the common pricing strategies. We talked about the cost plus, where there is a focus on costing, like what it costs to produce the offerings that you are creating. And then the value base, which I talked about how it definitely fits with digital products. And then we also talked about, sorry, again. Please let me know if you can't see my screen. Okay, and then we also talked about the value-based pricing that definitely fits more with digital products, and how you are having to do an extensive research on the market and on your users and their behaviors and responses to change in the market. And we talked about the penetration strategy, where you reduce, you underprice your products or your offerings to be able to grab the attention of your target audience, and hopes that you can maintain their loyalty after a period of time, and then you can go back to a normal price. And that's usually what would happen. And then we talked about the skimming pricing, where there is an effort, or the focus is on providing the highest value that you can provide, and providing it at a very high price. And this would usually fit with luxury goods, right? And we talked about the freemium model, which is also something that digital products use. Digital products like streaming platforms and music platforms and all that. So we then talked about the metrics to factor into your pricing strategy. We talked about the customer acquisition cost and what it takes to acquire new customers, and then the customer lifetime value, what you stand to gain from the continuous loyalty of your customers or a customer. Um, then we talked about how the pricing decisions most times is not made by, or in more established firms will not be made by the product manager, but there are times that you will find yourself in a position where you have to be the one to make these decisions. And then we talked about the collaboration with other stakeholders that would help you with your launching. And we talked about how to build trust, understand the hierarchy, early and frequent engagement with other stakeholders, communication, and using the data that you receive to make decisions, adaptability, and holding stakeholders accountable while maintaining a very professional relationship. And then we talked about how to gather feedback from marketing efforts after launch, because post launch, the next thing is to focus on product improvement. And the only way to do that is to collect feedback from different sources, collect analytics and data from different sources, and iterate on it and iterate on your product to improve your product for it to continue to remain in the competition. And then there is the conclusion where we say that the product launch is the final phase of the problem ideation loop. So basically, after the product launch in itself is a big leap, but it is not a final leap. Then you have to maintain your product within the market and make sure it stays competitive with other products. And that with that, we've come to the end of the topic for this session. And I would like to take questions now. If we have anybody with questions, please do raise your hands and remember to fill out your um, attendance form. If you have any questions, raise your hands and we'll call you to ask your questions. And your question has to be about this class and this topic. Okay, Joy, please go on and speak. Nachi Joy.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hi. Thank you. So yesterday you said for user personas, pain points do not apply, right?
Is that personal?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you
Like
repeat what you said?
Okay, like yesterday when you were reviewing the user persona, I think I'm not really sure, and that's because you said something similar today, and I just want to confirm that did you say pain points do not apply to our user persona
Okay.
because we do not have existing
Yes.
users? Did you say that? Okay. So today you also
Yes.
said today you also said that if your product is not live out there, then user personas pain points do not also apply to us. But I kind of feel like I have a little disagreement with that. And
Okay.
that's because,
Let me
okay, if
say
you
this.
remember, okay,
Yeah, go on. No, just finish.
okay. So in week one, if you remember, we had like distinct views on, regarding when product improvements begins. And I know that I was of the opinion that it begins at the growth stage, and you were of the opinion that it begins at the maturity stage. And then you said that's because for you, you consider a product when it's gaining traction, or when it has gained traction. And then I feel like over the numbers of classes we've had, you said something about success metrics, which makes me realize that success metrics is actually relative, right? For some people, traction could be their own success metrics. But for me, something as seemingly insignificant as just having my product in Apple Store or Play Store, considering the number of policies that Apple Store has. Like if I have my product on Apple Store, to me, that could be success. But to another person, user acquisition or monetization could be their own definition of success. Okay, so for pain points now, I feel like pain points can also apply in when your product is out there and why also at the stage of development. This is because for every idea you have, I feel like someone out there already has a similar product as yours. So that's like the whole essence of user research. So I can decide to like utilize pain points because for people who have similar audience as me, their users may have certain things they would want to see in their products, but they are not experiencing it, and so they are kind of frustrated. But then if I conduct user research, I could get ideas from that frustration to ensure that, I think it's called edge case or something like that, to ensure that okay, I utilize same, or I try to mitigate same frustration in my own product. So I think that pain points is actually like a very vital what's the word, like a very vital thing to have in your user persona and also in your development stage. So even if you are not out there yet, it's very important to mitigate the frustration similar product audience have, to ensure that you Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah,
So I understand
definitely.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what I have noticed with everybody that used pinpoint as a heading. First of all, the reason I gave everybody usernames as opposed to pinpoint is that I wanted you to focus on your own product, right? And even when I was discussing the assignment, I did mention this, that the focus was on your product. And I do understand trying to capture your competition, and because at the end of the day, you're trying to also find a competitive advantage for your product, right? And what
Yeah.
that could involve, that could very well involve taking in the pain points of your the users of your competition. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for almost, I feel like if there are 10 people that use pain points, they use pain points to represent user need. User need is what you use for your new product that you're still introducing to a market, right? You're still building your new product, and it becomes it's a user need because it is not a product yet. You don't have anyone that has a pain point for it yet. No one has used your product yet. You haven't even introduced this product. You're still doing user research and market research for your product. That means nobody is using it and giving you pain points and providing you with pain points. But what I have seen, if what I had seen were people, if when they write user pain points, they start talking about the pain points of their competitors, then we're having a different conversation. But I haven't seen one situation where people are talking about, because my competitors, or because the competitors, let's say you said you're creating a photo editor or a PDF editor app or something like that. And then you're talking about how Adobe has certain limitations, and these are the pain points of their users, and that is what you're addressing as your user need. It's a valid user need because that is a pain point for your competitors' users. But what I've seen everybody do or attempt to do is use pain points. And I'm not saying that pain point is such a generalized way of addressing user need. And I don't want you guys to get used to using pain point. Pain points actually in its real context, because we do a lot of things as Nigerians. We use certain words to mean certain things, and we assume that in every single situation everybody would understand it, right? And using coined words that we use in Nigeria and continue to use it in your professional space, I don't really think it's very healthy. The way we coin everything, we coin a word for everything, and then we continue to use it, right? It's not like, especially when you're documenting, and you could be documenting for someone, investors that have no idea how the tech space works for Nigerians or the terminologies we use as Nigerians. So if you say pain point and a Nigerian is looking at it, and I'm giving an example, and they get it, like we call all of them pain point. Like I get what she's saying. What is your guarantee that every investor that will look at that document, or even with companies like MoneyPoint, Kuda, most of your colleagues aren't even going to be Nigerians. So what is your assurance that everybody would take one look at it and figure out what it is you're saying, and work with what you're saying, other than having questions and going, when you say pinpoint, because if I read that, I'm going to ask you, when you say pinpoint, I'm kind of lost. This is a brand new product. We don't have users yet, and therefore we don't have people with pain points yet. So how are we using pain points for your user story? Like, how does pain points come into? Are you talking about the pain points for your the users of your competitors' app? Is that what you're talking about? Because I would ask you, and then if you don't really understand it fully, if someone starts asking you that kind of question in a meeting that you're doing a presentation, the next thing you're fluttering. Now, I am not saying that pinpoint is not a valid thing. I'm saying it is the context. I haven't seen anyone that, maybe I haven't marked the person's script yet, but I haven't seen anyone that has used pinpoint properly. Everybody has used pinpoint, and I still give everybody their points for using pinpoints because that's what the material said. And that is what some people in tech spaces would call user need. And I get it. But I'm saying, what is wrong with using the proper terms for the right things? I don't think there is anything wrong with, like, attempting to ensure that you're always using the right terms, and that's just my peak with it. It's not that pain points is not valid. I'm saying if you're going to use it in the right context. Normally, pain point is what it is that bothers your users, or that your users have a problem with while encountering or experiencing your product. So if there is no product to encounter or experience, how exactly are they pain points? They are user needs. They are things you still want to
But
address in your product that you're doing researches for. But go on, I'm
but
listening.
I feel like there's still pain points. Like it's kind of valid to you that is developing your product, because I mean your users out there, like your prospective or your target audience out there, are already using similar products. I don't know if if I'm making sense. They're already using similar products, and and as such, for you to address their needs or their pain points, it's valid you conduct research on pain point. And I feel like pain point and needs, they're kind of similar, but they're different, because pain point is like challenges, frustrations, and needs are like desires, right? So
Okay.
like
So
that kind of similar, but I feel like I used pain points, but I actually used it correctly, and I was kind of like graded 0. I don't know the reason for that. I'm still waiting for a feedback. I don't think that's the reason though, but I feel like I'm just
sure.
confused when it comes
So
to.
so this is the definition of pinpoints. I think so this is Zendesk. I don't know how many of you know Zendesk, but this is a definition from Zendesk. It said your customer pinpoints are the issues that customers experience when using your product or interacting with your product, its offering and its services. Right? This is the definition of pinpoints, your product and your services. Now I am saying that it is very understandable that when you are doing your user research, right? Your user research is a research on your potential users, right? And you decide that I'm going to address the things that are lacking in my competitors' products. And then I'm going to use it and create a competitive advantage for myself. That is a very good strategy. And that makes sense. It's something you came by while researching your users. But those are not your own pain points. They are pain points for the users of your competitors. And the real definition of pain points is something that someone has problem with or experiences negatively while attempting to use your product. Now you don't have it. You're doing a user research because you are preparing to launch a product. You're developing a product. That means you don't have a product yet that anybody's using. Therefore, nobody is giving you any pain points for your products yet. So what I'm saying is that if you're going to use pain point in the context of addressing problems that your competitors have not addressed with their products, then make it clear when you're answering like your assignment, for example, or when you're creating a document for an employer. Make it clear so it's not confusing, because if, use the terms the way they should be used. Is like it doesn't matter that in the text space we use a lot of things interchangeably. That shouldn't what should matter is that you have a good understanding of what each term means and that you use it properly. Now, if you've commented on your own assignments and you feel like maybe you were graded wrongly for a certain thing and you feel like you use it in the right context, fine, comment on it, I'll look at it. But like I'm just saying, in this context in itself, pinpoint is clear on, like, the definition of pain point is clear on what it is. Pain point is what is it that your users experience negatively when attempting to interact with your product, right? Your interface. What is it that when I'm trying to use it, I'm struggling? Those are my pain points. Those are my complaints, basically. But user need is what is a need that you want to address? What is something that your users or potential users want to get done, and they like you want to offer them a solution to do it? Those are user needs. Those are the things that come into question for your own research, for your own product. Now if you decide to delve into what it is that your competition is lacking, cool, like there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying no one has used its pinpoint correctly the way it should be used. And I still give everybody that use pinpoint as like their own subheading. I still give them their points, but I was just making a correction because I don't want you to go out there thinking that that is what pinpoint means and it's completely interchangeable with user needs. It is not completely interchangeable, even though people choose to interchange. Does that clear that up?
Uh, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Joy, if you're speaking, I can't hear you. Can anybody hear Joy?
Yes, I actually said thank you. Can anybody hear me?
Hmm.
Ah,
Joy, I still can't
network.
hear you. I hope others can hear you. And I can't hear you. And I hope you can hear me. And this is me saying thank you for your question. And I want you guys to ask questions like this. And I wanted to say something about the. Okay, I think I'm the only one struggling to hear Joy, so I don't know what the problem is. Um, the other thing is that I wanted to address the growth and the maturity, um, the growth and maturity improvements, product improvement when product improvement happens, right? I did talk about the fact that you can iterate on a product while you're still developing, like you could still be there iterating and collecting feedback and going to iterate on a product. That's cool. Like that's a thing that happens. But in the context of the assignment that we were addressing at that point, we were not addressing iteration. We were addressing the phases of development where after development, you release your product and then you receive feedbacks and you take feedbacks and go and create improvements. We weren't talking about iteration from stakeholders or internal testing and all that. We're talking about an actual existing product where where we wanted to be able to address problems and create problems while the product is already in the market and create product improvements. Now, the thing about product management and just product development in itself, Christopher, I see your hand up and I'll call you up and I hope I can hear you when I do that. I don't know what is going on or why I can't hear anybody anymore. And I do hope everybody can still hear me. Please, if you can hear me, do identify. The problem with most of these terms is understanding the context with which or with which they are used or they need to be used. Most of them, a lot of them are very interchangeable, no doubt. Okay? But the problem is, do you understand in what context that they should be used? The fact that you have people, and I mean people in major positions in the industry that interchange these things does not make it right. You want to be able to learn the proper way to use certain terms and the proper application of certain terms versus just hanging with the broad or just with the bandwagon of how people apply things. Be the person that corrects people anyways. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And then okay, we have Christopher has a question. Christopher, hold on. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Good evening, ma.
Christopher, you're not speaking yet.
I'm saying something. Since you find it difficult to hear me, I'm saying something. Can you hear me now, please? Oh my God. But you cannot hear me. Okay, maybe I should type my question on the questions and answers platform since you couldn't hear me.
Christopher, please, if you're speaking, could you pause? I can't hear a thing. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now, ma?
Okay, Christopher, please go on. Please start all over.
Okay. Thanks for today's lecture. Then my question is about.
Yes, I can.
My question is about saying yesterday's lecture. I just want to get a clarification here, because you made mention that some use of non products. as their number one question that people were making use of a non-tech product. So my question is simple, like, can a product manager take on an opportunity in a non-tech product, or should it be only on a tech product?
In a non what? Sorry, could you repeat that? In a non what product?
In a non-tech, you were saying that some people yesterday choose a product that is outside, like a non-tech product.
Oh yes, okay. So I said this in the beginning of our classes. Like I think the first introduction I made of myself is that my focus and the focus of what we are discussing are digital products. The premise of everything that we are doing here is to focus on digital products, is to focus on tech. We are not doing products. There are product management positions for managing even cement houses or cement production houses and have product managers or production managers, whatever they choose to call it. But that is not our concern. Our concern is digital products, which is why we are discussing software, the software management, sorry, the software development phases of it. If we were concerned with physical products, like some people in the past had written about wristwatches and tracking sports events and sports activities and the rest, if that was our goal, then we wouldn't be discussing the phases of product development. We wouldn't be discussing testing in the way that we are discussing it, right? We won't be discussing collaboration with the engineering team, because then we will talk about the plastic, like someone that did the cutter for vegetable cutter or something as their product. Then we'll be discussing how we mold plastic and how we put plastic in the plastic molder and it forms the plastic cutter, and we put the stainless steel teeth for cutting, because that's not what we are discussing. What we are discussing is the digital space. Everything that we are discussing is having an understanding of the digital space. And an aspect of that digital space is product management. Another aspect of it is product design, UI UX design, which you get to encounter a lot as a product manager. So we had to discuss that as well, right? So our focus again is product development for software products or technical products or digital products. Sorry. Yeah.
Please, I would still like to understand, is there a difference between project management and product management?
Yes. Because I am running out of time, I would just say Google product management versus project management. The difference is not as significant, but the main difference is that product management is focused on technical products. But then, as a project manager, you could manage projects within the technical space. But in a general sense, project management manages all kinds of products or all kinds of innovations. So just do a Google search, product management versus project management. It will help you capture, have a better understanding of the difference.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else that has a quick question that I can take before we all log off for today? Okay. That is my signal that everybody is in tune with us today, and that will be the end of our class today. Thank you everybody for showing up again for yourself and for your progress. Do have a lovely evening, and good luck with Monday. I wish you the best with Monday. And you would be, I did promise someone, I promised one person a video. For the rest of you, the reason I made that promise was that he lost connection with us during the class, and that there was nothing he could have done about that. So once I receive it from Telegram, I might be able to send it to him. But I didn't promise that to everybody else that was present for the class or that was supposed to be present for the class. That one, the administration, I'll just do a push with the administration so that everybody can go and rewatch a class that you attended. For this person, they couldn't even attend the class when you were attending it. So that was why I promised the person, unfortunately. So I'll just push for them to go ahead and upload it on YouTube, and you can view it quick. so it doesn't start delaying again. So with that said, thank you everybody, and do have a lovely evening. Goodbye.